The following is for entertainment purposes only. We are not financial advisors. We are not responsible for any losses, only the profits.
Nation, it's Charlie. I'm going to be your host for today. Today we're taking a look at WorkHorse. I know we've talked about them a couple times before, but we're at a crucial point, and that's what we're here for, to get you in at the right time to get these and hopefully multiply some money. So we are going to dive in. I'm going to try to do a full circle analysis over the whole company and everything that I think is crucial and you need to know about for what's upcoming. The reason I think the timing is correct right now is tomorrow we have actually got earnings for Q2 coming out. So chances are they're not going to look that good, which means it's probably going to be a good buying opportunity, right? So it could dip down for the next couple days, and if it does, I'm going to be buying more. So let's jump in. If you don't know what WorkHorse is, they're an EV company. They focus on like the last mile delivery stuff, like United States Postal Service vans or UPS vans. You know, anything kind of last minute, like big ice cream trucks that are all electric, 100% electric. So they also have drones, like on the screen here, and they have actually tons of patents for drones, which I think is really cool. And they've got the logistics set up to even deliver packages. Like in this video here that we've been watching since the beginning, it's a UPS driver that basically took a package, threw it up in the ceiling, and then clicked the address on her iPad, and then boom, it launched out there, and it's just gonna follow her to the next job and then come back down itself. So boom, it dropped off the package, and it's gonna go meet her again. They also have a basically like a rope that will fly down and like carry the package down. So if it's in a weird, commercial setting, or at a farm somewhere where you don't want that thing flying down in between power lines or whatever, it can actually just drop the claw down and then drop the package and then come back up and then fly away. So they've got tons of cool things in the works and tons of stuff they've already done. They've already built tons of these for UPS all around the world. Even in Canada, they're testing them there. DHL, all the big boy brands. And so let's keep continuing here. So why do we care about WorkHorse and how do we make money? So no Republican has ever won the election without an Ohio win, okay? So do you remember Lordstown? You remember them already? Is that already old news to you? Okay. Well, WorkHorse gets 10% of everything they make for the next 2 years, okay? Lordstown, so basically WorkHorse owns a lot of them. And they own the guts to that truck they're coming out with, the one that looks like the 90s Ford Sport Track. They own the guts, and so they're kind of like leasing it to them in a way. So Lordstown is planning on not even using 30% of its facility that they have now, which means that they have room to help build new WorkHorse vehicles. So investing in WorkHorse is also getting over $100 million from just the pre-orders alone for the Lordstown EV truck, because Lordstown truck has already got basically like $1 billion worth of pre-orders, and so 10% of that is already $100 million that WorkHorse is already going to get if those get fulfilled. I'm sure the pre-order is going to keep going, so it's tons of money. And they've got, like I said, a lot of that facility that they're not even going to utilize, and so Lordstown is at that point where they're so busy that they need more production, and they're like getting behind, which is a fantastic time to invest in a business. They're so busy they can hardly keep up. So if need be, they could end up building some of these vehicles, WorkHorse vehicles, in the Lordstown factory. So big conglomerate, which is cool. So Trump came out and tweeted a while back. He said, "Great news for Ohio. I just spoke to Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors, who informed me that, subject to a UAW agreement, etc., GM will be selling their beautiful Lordstown plant to WorkHorse, where they plan to build electronic trucks. GM will be spending $700 million in Ohio." So obviously Trump needs Ohio for the next election. And so he's going to do whatever he can do to bring in more jobs and all that to Ohio. And he's already been talking about Lordstown plant and WorkHorse for years. So that's also fantastic news. So during a July 2017 rally in Youngstown, Trump told supporters, "Don't move, don't sell your house," because his administration would bring jobs back and fill up the area's factories, which has now happened. Lordstown, located near Youngstown in the industrial Mahoning Valley was a key to Trump winning Ohio in the 2016 presidential election. He has privately and publicly pressed GM CEO Mary Barra to find a product for the plant that would retain the jobs, and it's worked. And so, do you think he's going to continue to try to do that and get more and more jobs and fill it up even more? I think so. Yeah, WorkHorse Group successfully passes the FMVSS test for its all-electric vehicle delivery vans. So they successfully completed the Federal Motor FMVSS testing for the C650 and the C1000 all-electric delivery vans. The overall testing process consists of multiple and high-level significant reviews and required approvals for vehicle safety, including seatbelt efficiency and additional seating, safety, and braking system standards, among others, and areas. So there's like 3 left of companies that are competing for a United States Postal Service contract, and WorkHorse are the only ones that have this safety passing already done. And I guess it's taken about 2 years to get that done. So they're already like at least 2 years ahead of the competition, which is huge. The successful completion of the testing confirms that the design, construction, performance, and durability of our all-electric vehicle vans meet federal requirements, making WorkHorse the only American all-electric OEM designing and manufacturing last-minute vehicle deliveries to complete this testing, said the CEO. With this late-stage milestone certification now behind us, we remain well-positioned to execute on our production timeline for the remainder of the year. How many vehicles are in the pipe? Yeah. So how many vehicles they got coming in? So, and here's some release updates and highlights. Continued production efforts as an essential business with deliveries planned for second quarter 2020. So these are actually coming from the Q1 statements that were made. So what he's saying, essential quote unquote business, they were actually named as an essential business, so they've been able to work through all this stuff that's happening. So they reaffirmed previous production and delivery target of 300 to 400 vehicles in 2020, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is for how small these guys are and what they're doing. But again, hopefully we can ramp that up. Receiving increased interest in patented delivery truck mounted HorseFly drone capabilities from both government and commercial customers. So the government's even giving them contracts, and then tons of commercial people like UPS and stuff like that, they're all testing it and stuff like that right now, so this could be huge. Even Walmart is rumored to be in cahoots with them and might release some info on that. So because we provided vital support and infrastructure to the transportation and delivery sector, we have been deemed an essential service, allowing us to continue working through this period. We'll be delivering our C-Service vehicles to customers in the second quarter, and we remain on schedule to achieve our target of delivering 300 to 400 this year. By the end, we are in the final stage of preparing a detailed production plan. We can deploy vehicles into Ryder Systems sales channel starting in 2020-21. So even Ryder brand. So the first quarter and recent operational highlights. In May 2020, the appointed automotive industry veterans Jacqueline Dado and Pamela Madar to the company. They added them to the board of directors, expanding its leadership team from 6 to 8, including 7 independent directors. In April, they partnered with UPS and Virginia's Center for Innovative Technology and test evaluating the commercial drone industry's ability to provide and scale small unmanned aerial systems to support various use cases to speed and assist the U.S. healthcare system during the Cerveza thing. So what they're even saying, what they were using for that is that line drop I was talking about. So they can, if you need a shot or a lung or something, or a heart or blood or whatever, instead of having to, have you ever seen like the organ delivery people or the blood delivery guys? They still have to go through traffic and wait, and they got lights and they're still trying to get through. But imagine if you could just have a drone. You're like, I need some, O negative blood or some plasma or whatever. And it's got to come from this place to that place. You just throw it up on the drone takes it, and it could be there way faster than trying to drive that stuff around. So I think that's really cool. And they obviously were testing it for what was just going on. So in April, they expanded the company's HorseFly patent portfolio by filing a provisional application, which is intended to protect the Unmanned Aerial System and several of the UAS's key components and capabilities, including the ground control station, winch deliveries, and aircraft structure. So again, that I guess is what they're calling is that winch delivery. It's got a winch that takes the package and then just drops it down, and the drone stays here, and then it drops it and then goes back up and then takes off. So they got a patent on that. So it's huge. So March, they showcased the company's new vehicles at the truck show. In February, they received a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, have y'all heard of them? Certificate of Conformity for the all-electric delivery truck, a ladder providing Workhorse vehicles the right and authority to operate on U.S. roads and highways. So getting a sticker from EPA is huge. That is great, fantastic for them. I can't imagine how much they had to pay for them to do the testing on that, but it's a big thing for them to do. So they get it. They're trying to show that they can get approved. And not many other people can do that right now. So some super key factors on why Workhorse can multiply our money. They just got a big thing of financing round and all that, and basically they ended up with 110 million cash in the MERS. So that's fantastic. Now they've got that cash they're going to need to open up more production avenues, maybe through Lordstown up there. But like I said, they're actually currently backed up. All right, so they need to open up more avenues. They're doing great selling, which is the hardest part of any business, but now they got to produce the product. Okay. This financing gives us almost 110 million of cash to support our accelerated production efforts and working capital needs. With the first 2 trucks officially sent to Ryder earlier this week, production and delivery are now underway. While the majority of our annual targeted deliveries will be in the 4th quarter, the certifications from the EPA and the California Air Resource Board also expand our early technology leadership position as the only fully permitted last mile EV OEM with outstanding sales orders currently building vehicles for commercial use across the country. So they're like front running this whole thing, and I didn't realize they had the California Air Resource Board certification too. So it's gonna be crazy, before we know it, California is gonna make it so they have to be EPA certified or they have to be California Air Resource Board certified. They could flip the switch in 6 months, and then guess what? It can only be them that can make it. So it's massive. So the USPS pending contract for $6 billion. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. So I had to go in and actually read through the big issuance of this, and so I had to change around a bunch of numbers, but I got them correct. So let's jump into to what this actually says about this pending USPS contract that they're applied for, that they could be winning, and I think the likelihood is very high. Let's keep going. Requires the Postal Service to use any of the authorized funds to purchase electric or zero-emission vehicles to replace its current right-hand drive vehicles to the maximum extent practicable. However, at least 75% of the new fleet must be such vehicles. So to me, that's clear as mud that the vehicles that they get have to be electric or zero emission. Straight up, electric or zero emission. And it has to be at least 75%. The section would also require that the fleet of medium and heavy duty trucks consist of at least 50% of electric vehicles by 2030. So they're saying, if they still got some of those old gassers on the road, they just got to get rid of them. They have to have 50% electric by 2030. That's in less than 10 years. Yeah, they got to have at least 50%. And that any vehicle purchased after 2040 be electric or zero emission. So right now it's only 75% purchased, but after 20 years from now, they have to be 100%. So the section would require the Postal Service to provide at least one charging station at each publicly accessible facility it owns or leases by 2026, and ensure that it has adequate charging facilities to keep its fleet operating. They got to be able to charge the things. Okay. So I don't know if Workhorse has chargers. I'm sure they do. That's one thing I have not looked up. But I've got the links here if you want to go through and read this, but there's more stuff here. The contingent on application, the requirements of subsections through the section shall not apply unless the funds are authorized for vehicles under section 5001 are appropriated. Yeah, so they're basically saying you can't fulfill this unless you can't use this money because the government is basically giving $6 billion to company or companies to get new vehicles for the Postal Service. And they're saying if you do not meet those requirements, you don't get any of the money, right? It is in the sense that Congress, that as the Postal Service replaces or upgrades its fleet of delivery vehicles, the Postal Service should take all reasonable steps to ensure that its vehicles are equipped with climate control units, which is huge. You know, the current rigs that they're riding now, they don't have air conditioning. Okay, did you know that? Isn't that nuts? To protect the health and safety of its mail carriers, especially those workers in areas of the country that are subject to extreme temperatures. I think that's fantastic because, I mean, that is insane. You know, driving around those little boxes, no air conditioners or heaters, whatever. Oh my gosh. So there were 4 contenders that originally applied to win this contract with USPS. One just dropped out like last week. So now we got 3, okay? So they have, so, you know, WorkHorse, they have the drones that the USPS might end up taking advantage of for sure. Like I said, the Q2 earnings are coming up tomorrow for WorkHorse, so we got to watch that. Have you guys heard of Kathy Wood? Kathy Wood, she's the head runner of ARK Investment ETF. Y'all heard of that? So she recently doubled the position in the last 3 weeks in WorkHorse. And other than Tesla, they are the only electronic vehicle company that they are invested in. So this is an autonomous technology robotics ETF is what this ETF is all about. And I think that kind of says a lot, you know, that out of all the electronic vehicles they could be investing in, they chose number one, Tesla. In fact, they're highestly weighted in Tesla at 9.83% of their portfolio. But just next to NVIDIA, they've got WorkHorse at rank 26. I think it's the top 50. So they're like 26 out of 50. They are now up to 427,130 shares of WorkHorse, which is a total of basically 7.1 basically million, which is crazy, which is a lot of shares, right? 7 million. So maybe they know something we don't, or, you know, maybe they just know what we do and they're totally convinced, kind of like I am. So the other contenders for this, for the USPS contracts, other than WorkHorse, number one is Turkey-based Karasan. These are kind of cool looking. I like them. They actually look rugged and neat. But what's the deal with this? It's a plug-in hybrid. It's not 100% electric. So there's a bunch of problems with that. Number one is they said they have to purchase 75% that are 100% electric. This is not. So in my eyes, no matter what, they could only actually purchase 25% of these. Yeah. The problem with these, and why I've never liked hybrids, is they're both gasoline and battery, and you have to keep an eye on both. You got two systems running in parallel. You know, one fails. You know, it's just not. I don't like it. I don't like it. You know, I know they're supplementing each other, but I mean, usually like the gas savings and stuff is not that much. I mean, it's all right, but I don't know. It also adds a ton of weight because you still have a total combustion engine. You still got, you know, everything in there that's heavy, and then you also have now all the lithium batteries and all that. So they're like tanks. All right. The other thing I don't like about it is the current world affairs that probably don't bode too well currently with Turkey. You know, I don't see the, you know, the Trump administration wanting to side, you know, with Turkey, even though it's not necessarily siding with Turkey. It's just, you know, buying some vehicles. They would also produce them in America, but still, I don't know. It's just kind of that gung-ho thing, you know, because I think Trump is trying to be like the most hardcore, you know, right-winger guy out there. And so I don't know. I don't think that is going to bode too well with a lot of people. He's going to try to keep it American owned and American built, basically. And that would kick that out of the option. But again, the biggest thing is it's a hybrid. It's not 100% electric. Okay. The next one is done by Ford and the military vehicle company Oshkosh. It is 100% gas. So most of the contract they get is 75%, right? Which they are totally phasing out eventually too. So remember, by, was it like 2030, they can't buy them. And these last rigs, they current life cycle of these rigs they got now is like 30 years. You think they want to get rid of these in 10 years? No, they're hoping for 20 or 30 years, I'm sure. So I don't see that. To me, they're probably going to want to go with someone that they can just keep buying and keep it consistent. That's how big corporations and fleets like to do it, because it's just easier that way, right? They aren't going to want to replace these in 10 years. The downtime and vehicle maintenance, you got the oil changes, fuel filters, and all that. You don't have that on all electric. What odd thing is the CEO of Ford is bounced. I haven't looked too much into it, but I don't know, that could be a negative. It's obviously kind of weird, but this is the Ford one. Kind of looks like those like a mini Ford Transit. It's definitely a lot more bulkier. And I know that the USPS guys, they got to get some tight areas sometimes, like in apartments and all that. So I don't know, it just looks a little bit too bulky if you ask me. Still be kind of cool, but again, it's still 100% gas, so it just doesn't make too much sense. And then you had Mahindra, but these are the guys that just backed out, so they're out, so forget it. Then we've got the WorkHorse USPS van. So the downtime is going to be cut in half, as it's 100% electric. There's no oil changes, no spark plugs. You do have to plug it in at the end of the day, but then again, you don't got to fill it up with gas. I mean, there's no real difference, right? In fact, I'd argue it's probably easier just to plug something in than to sit there and mess with the pump that's half broken and that. So they will have to build charging stations. That is a negative. Is that a big deal though? I don't think it's really that big of a deal to put those in. I don't know what goes into doing it. If they could just like hook up to the main lines or whatever, but it's more of a cost. But again, if corporations like this, they're going to look at the long-term play. They're not going to look like, okay, in 2 years, where are we going to be? They're going to be like 10, 20, 30 years. They're going to end up saving money. So with the all-electric, like most things, it'll probably cost more money up front, but the long-term play is over time, it'll end up saving them a ton. I think the calculation for those big buses for Proterra, the guys who we thought were going to merge with Hennessy, okay? I think the projection was about $230,000 savings for the life versus a gas bus versus one of their electric ones. So it costs more up front, but over the life, over 10 years, you save $230,000. So that's a lot of money. So who knows on these? But the other deal is it's the lightest of them all. So it's lighter. There's less moving parts, which means less things to break. There's less wear on the tires, less wear on the shocks. Even more nimble. And then here's what the WorkHorse one looks like. To me, this looks like the most nimble, smallest one. And it really looks like kind of what they got, but I don't know. I like it. It's cool. So my thoughts on, will WorkHorse win the USPS contract? Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So it's the only 100% electric option. To me, they have to win at least 75% of the bid. Because again, they can split it up. So I mean, they easily could just to help transfer things. They'd be like, okay, give us 25% of the Fords, so we can at least get some new ones out there like that. And then I don't know though, maybe Ford could be 5 years out till they can make them. So that might not even be true. But maybe let's do 25% of the Fords and then 75% of these. And as long as there's not like a break in that contract or something crazy that happens, it seems to me they have to have 75% of them bought through these, because there's the only electric option that put in a bid. So the other thing, they're made in America. It's America. It's 100% America. America. I think that, that alone, people still want that. If you're in Turkey, you want stuff that's made in Turkey. If you're in Germany, you want stuff that's made in Germany. It just is what it is. So they have tons of orders in the pipe already for other e-vehicles. So, they've been making these e-vehicles for a long time. They've already got all the EPA stuff on all the other things. They've got the safety measures already intact for some of their stuff. It's huge. So there's also that Lordstown, Ohio connection. So Trump will want this because he wants that vote from Ohio, right? He also seems to lean on GM versus Ford, and Lordstown is a GM thing. I've noticed that since kind of the beginning, that he's always talking about GM. So maybe he's just a GM guy, or maybe he's friends with them, or whatever. Maybe they're just cool with him, and Ford's not being that cool with them. Maybe it's that. I don't know. So they've also got a proven track record in the electronic vehicle space. USPS has already talked about drones before, so they could easily adopt the drone capabilities from WorkHorse also. what a great partnership. We can also help you with the drones, and we've got the patents to drop stuff off. So, it's to me, it's at that almost no-brainer point. So how am I going to play this? First of all, I'm already in. If you've been watching the channel, I've talked about them for months. All right, I'm already in. I've got regular shares and some calls, but I'll be watching this earnings tomorrow to see if the market reacts bad to them. I will most likely buy even more if it goes down. So, I'm kind of hoping that it is kind of bad, the report, because if it goes down, I'm going to wait and then get some more, or at least, put a buy in above it, try to catch it. So when will the USPS announce the merger with the WorkHorse electronic vehicles? Deadline is before September 30th, so it could be tomorrow. So it could be tomorrow, and this thing just takes off to the moon. Because if they're announced on there, then which they should be, unless they can pull a rabbit out of their hat and be like, nah, we're going to amend that part. We decided we're going to go forward no matter what. I don't know. That could happen, but chances are 75% of this contract at least has to go to them, and it's $6 billion. So do the math on that. It's massive. Over $4 billion contract. Holy Toledo. So we'll take a look at the charts, and we also have 104.6 million shares, which is not a lot at all. So what that means is this thing could go ape, it could go parabolic real fast with not that too many buy-in. So let's take a look at where we're at here. So it was just back in June this year, it was only at $2.79, but all the stuff started happening with the rumors and all that, and it's bounced all the way up to about $23. Since then it came back down, people took the profits, the puppeteers took the profits, and then now it's just kind of been riding this consolidation. It dipped down, kind of U'd. It actually kind of looks like a cup and tea handle. Actually, I don't know if you know what that pattern looks like. Just kind of the U, and then you've got the handle of it. Now that I'm looking at it, and what that kind of means is it could end up going parabolic straight up from there. Cup and handle pattern, I think it's called. Yeah. So I drew these lines. I mean, we're sitting, it's bounced off these, I don't know, almost every time here, ding, 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 all the way up. So if it breaks below, 1550, it's probably going to go down even more, who knows. Could go 1550, and you probably got a line here at 1080. Let's draw that one in for everybody. So if we get bad news, it could go, because there's nothing else there to support it. Next line is this gap. Yeah, $10.91. So if we get bad news tomorrow, it could go from current 1652 down to like 1091. Yeah, there could be a line right here too. Let's draw that. Let's draw this line here. At 1419, it could just go down to 1419, do consolidation, and then wait, and then kind of go back up or whatever. But pay attention to the earnings tomorrow morning, and then about 1419, if they're bad, it'll probably hit that and bounce up. Watch it. If it breaks through that and blasts through it, then it could be headed down to 1091. But I am just waiting for that USPS contract to get announced. if and when it is, we'll be pretty stoked. So did I miss any information? I tried to just consolidate everything I could find and try to keep it as quick as possible, still giving you everything I thought was super important to know. If you have any more plays you want me to take a look at or anything I'm missing, just let me know. If you wouldn't mind, I got some affiliate links down in the description. So if you're going to buy anything off of Amazon in the next week or whatever, just go through, click on that link that helps support the channel. Of course, subscribe and like the channel. That definitely helps. But really, just tell your friends. I mean, that's really what I want right now, is just keep spreading this out. Let's get as many people on here as we can, and let's all just keep making some money. Y'all have a good rest of the weekend.